Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Today, here we are at the 35th episode of our webinar organized by Social Research Group, and I'm here with you, Krishna Kumar Shaha. I'm the PhD scholar of Ghent University, Belgium. And today, we are going to discuss environment, climate change, and gender justice. And to talk about this topic, we have invited Dr. Faraha Nawaz. Faraha Nawaz is Associate Professor of Public Administration at Rajshahi University. And to talk about a bit more about Faraha Nawaz, she is a um, her academic excellence is a wonderful. She's a wonderful scholar in the area of social science in Bangladesh. Not only in Bangladesh, also in the South Asian scholarship of political science or public administration or environment and women. She is one of the few names that we talk in the classrooms in different public universities in Bangladesh. And she has done wonderful throughout her academic career. She stood 11th and 7th in combined merit list in secondary and higher secondary levels of higher secondary levels, respectively. She holds Bachelor of Social Science and Master of Social Science in Public Administration from Rajshahi University. And after completing her bachelor and master's from Russian University, she did join Russian University as a faculty member at the same department. And then she also, just to mention that she stood first class first position in both of her bachelor and master's studies. And then she went to University of Flinders University of South Australia, and she completed her PhD in 2015. And she has so recently she has published a book called Microfinance and Women's Empowerment: Unpacking the Untold Narrative. It was published by Palgrave Macmillan, UK. To summarize her academic and professional career, I have to say she has been working with many national and international organizations. And to be specific, her research and publication summary, she has published 3 books. One is upcoming in this current year. And also she published 3 book chapters, more than 30 peer-reviewed academic journals, and several commentary and newspaper articles. So I don't want to prolong this introduction of our speaker. We just want to go directly to our speaker, just to give a few instruction about our webinar. Is The speaker will talk for 15 to 20 minutes to the audience, and after the speaker finishes her discussion, then we'll go to the floor, and then we will ask for questions and comments. And those who has questions and comments, please raise your virtual hand through Zoom application, and then we can go back to you and ask questions, or you can also make your comments on the given topic. And about the social research group a bit, so we are a few faculty members and students from different parts of Bangladesh, and we are trying to do some research in the area of social science, social studies. And during the corona times, we try to include or engage our students in the academic discussion, and that's why we have started these webinars. And so far we have organized, including today, 35 webinars. And today we got Dr. Faraha Nawaz, and we would like to go back to you to talk about today's topic. And today's topic is environmental change and gender justice. So Dr. Faraha Nawaz, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Krishna.
Yes, ma'am. So the floor is yours now. So you can start your...
Okay. Thank you so much, Krishna, for a very generous introduction, actually. And I'm very happy to be invited by you to this purely academic webinar. And very warm welcome to all the participants, because I have seen a very learned and intellectual in your list. So very warm welcome to my session. And actually, let me begin my presentation by congratulating you, because you are really doing a great job, Krishna, because you see about during pandemic time, we are at home, we have nothing to do, and you are I have seen your passion and your dedication for this webinar, and so far you have arranged a series of webinars, and you deserve high appreciation for this. So thank you so much again for inviting
And
me.
thank you so much also for
And
your generous words. And
it's not generous, actually. You are doing a great job, and I'm very happy that you're arranging a series of webinars, and you have managed inviting a lot of national and international scholars in your program. So it's not an easy job. And you really deserve appreciation for this. And now today, as you see from the banner, that I'm going to discuss about environment, climate change, and gender justice. Now, since it is a purely an academic webinar, so I have decided to give my talk in an academic way, and for better understanding about the topic that I've chosen for today's discussion, let me give you some of the description about the key concepts. I know you all know about what is environment, what is climate change, what is gender justice, but I think it is important to clarify from my side so that you can connect my talk with the topic of my presentation today. Now, when we talk about environment, like there are some components, there are some of the things that comes instantly in our mind, that environment is basically includes some key areas. It is including biodiversity, including the total ecosystem, including agriculture, fishery, so on and so forth. So there are a huge set of things that are included in environment. Now, when you see a discussion about environment, we rarely connect environment with gender. But what I believe that it is very important to connect dots. Now, I want to take a minute that I'm telling this, and why it's really important to connect these dots, not to change again. When you talk about climate change, we know what are the aspects that are included in it, and if we consider Bangladesh as a case, this is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world in respect of climate change. We all know. And whenever we talk about climate change, we focus on two major approaches. One is climate change mitigation, another is climate change adaptation. And now climate change mitigation basically deals with the causes of climate change, and other deals with the effects of climate change, that once the climate change takes place, how you are going to adapt with it. What would be the coping mechanisms? So, and the third concept is gender justice. Now, I'm going to spend a little more time on gender justice because this is my area. And gender justice, when we talk about gender justice, that includes a lot of things. Now, justice includes some key questions. The first question is, who gets what? That means how the resources are distributed. And we know if we consider, if we look at it from a gender perspective, you know, the resources are very unequally distributed. And because if you look at the environment, if you take environment as an example, like in South East Asia, there are, if you consider the total agriculture workforce, more than 50% are women. 51, so more than 50, studies say that it is 51% women are involved in total agricultural workforce. However, and they spend 90% of their labor in total cultivation process. But when the time shift, there are only globally only 10 to 20% women are how the when the control over resources comes in, then there always men matters. Okay, so who gets what, then who does what? very important question, that who does what. Then comes the socially constructed gender division of labor that throughout the world, women, you have to do all the unpaid household work, no matter how many hours you work outside, no matter how much money you are contributing to your family. See, as you are women, you have to do all unpaid household work. So because the socially has constructed this gender division of labor. So this is decides what? Very important, the decision making. I know many of you, those who are attending my session today, you know about Naila Kabir, a very renowned feminist. And she said about agency, like your decision making agency, that who is influencing the decision, who is taking major decision in the family, who is taking the minor decision in the family. So the decision really matters. So who decides what? And the most important is the political empowerment. That means who is framing the agenda? What is there? Who are about gender justice? And gender justice also includes both equality without understanding the total complete meaning of it. And equality refers to sameness. That means you have to ensure equal rights to men and women, equal benefits to men and women. And equity means, gender equity means it's fairness of treatment to men and women according to their respective needs. So you need to achieve gender equity to achieve gender equality, to go towards equality. So when you call about gender, talk about gender justice, both of these concepts are included here. And it also refers to the gender justice also talks about the power relation concept, that how the power, social power is constructed, and what is the relation of power. Because if we talk about gender equality and empowerment, the power has to be transferred to different institutions and organizations. So power has to be transformed from the family, community, market, and state level. So these are also important discussion when you talk about gender justice, and it refers to the elimination of eradication of elimination, exclusion, and oppression against women. So gender justice is a huge concept. Now, what I would argue here, that it is very important to connect the dots between environmental justice and gender justice. Now, when you talk about environment, as I said, in agriculture, in women, if you consider the total agricultural workforce in Southeast Asia, the 51% women are involved in agriculture very actively, right? And when I would say that there is no way to look at it in a gender blind way, because when they work in agriculture, in Africa, there are a lot of studies have been conducted. It has found that there is a strong correlation between the use of pesticides and baby natal mortality. And the use of women have been using the fertilizer, the insecticide in a very unprotected way. They are not able to take any safety measures while they're using it, and that lead to a lot of gynecological diseases, and it leads to sterility as well, that women are unable to produce children. And there is another dimension, that when they are unable to produce children, their husbands are women, and they remarry in some places, and they never come back. So these are adding more vulnerability on these women. And a study, so just now, as an example has come in my mind, in China. In China, there's a steel-run fertilizer factory that has led to a lot of stillbirths, and means miscarriages. So when they work, so the when more negative impact so there are some of the negative impacts when they are dealing with a lot different things in with agriculture, and it is because they are women. It is happening because they are women. So women are very much disproportionately affected by environment. And as I said, a very important thing that we need to address here is when women, as I said, that there's a socially constructed gender division of labor. It prevails and perpetuates in Asia, Africa, and Latin America mostly, and throughout the world as well. And one of the key issue is when as the most of the families in these countries, they depend on biomass for cooking, and it is always women's duty to cook with to cook. For this reason, since they cannot afford kerosene or other fuel, they have to travel hours after hours with bare foot and empty stomach, and they come back with cracked feet sometime. And on their way, they have to carry a huge burden on their head just for collecting, and they spend hours after hours for collecting firewood. And sometimes they carry equal to their body weight. Sometimes it's more than their body weight. So that leads to gynecological disorders, including uterine prolapse. And also another important issue is when they cook in a closed indoor environment, a study is conducted where it is found that if someone cooks in a closed indoor system, the smoke that comes from the cooking is the most toxic among all chemical pollution. So you can easily understand the impact, the negative impact on women just because of cooking in a closed indoor environment. So you can understand that men and women are differently impacted by different issues of climate change, and it is just because of the social construction, because they are women, because there is a gender division of labor, the gender roles and responsibilities that is prevailing and perpetuating throughout the world. Now let's talk a little bit about climate change. As I have already talked about some issues of climate change, like climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. What I'm arguing here is that men and women are disproportionately affected by climate change. And now I can give you many examples that how they are differently impacted, and how and to what extent it is more acute to women, and how women are differently responding to climate change. And if you take Bangladesh as a case study, you know that we often have to face natural calamities, and there are many reasons behind it. Because of our funnel shape of Bay of Bengal and its connection with the rivers, and you know Bangladesh is a river and country of thousands of rivers, and there are some natural things, and there are some global reasons as well, global warming, the greenhouse gas emissions. So there are a lot of reasons behind it. But whatever the reasons are, the outcome, the effect is we often have to face different types of natural calamities, including cyclone, flood, so on and so forth. So from 1992, if you look at the history from 1992 to so far until now, we have recently known about Amphan. Like you can see that these are the natural calamities, and I'm arguing here that men and women are responding to this climate change differently, because we have many cyclone shelters in our country because we have in our country, we have disaster management, we have an act on disaster management, we have a disaster management action plan. So that tells us that how we can adapt with this climate change. If cyclone comes in, how to protect, how to adapt with it. So we have a lot of cyclone shelters in our country. But if you look at the internal environment of the cyclone shelter, you can see that that it doesn't have a minimum gender-friendly atmosphere. A lot of women have unsafe abortion and forced miscarriages there, and sometimes women are harassed, and women's privacy becomes completely challenged there, and adolescent girls face a lot of difficulties for their menstruation management. So it doesn't have minimum gender-friendly atmosphere. Now, wherever we have this sort of things like cyclone shelter or refugee camps, the problem comes with women first, because as far as their privacy issue is concerned. And if during flood time, where in a waterlogged situation, what happens that it is again women's duty to collect water, and they have to travel hours after hours by boat or raft, and sometimes they have been drowned, sometimes they have been died through snake bites, and they spend a whole day just for collecting water and food, just for feeding their babies. And when the flood comes in, many men, if you look at the history, you can see that their husbands have to leave their women just in the name of searching employment. And I know it is important, but what happens is sometimes they never come back. So that added more vulnerability on women, and sometimes the women have to engage in a lot of antisocial activities just for feeding their babies. And what happens and also and they have to spend the whole day with the filthy water that leads to a lot of skin diseases on women, skin diseases. And let's talk a little bit about drought as well. And so instantly, an example is coming in my mind from Gujarat in India, and in some remote villages of Gujarat. And there, an intergenerational study has been conducted where the women were asked that how many hours their mothers had to spend for collecting water, and how many hours they were spending for collecting water. They replied that they are spending more hours than their mothers just for collecting water, because of the natural reasons, because the water is going down, and with the rapid growth of deforestation, with the rapid growth of water crisis, they are spending more hours for collecting waters. And you will be very shocked to know that sometimes they carry, a study has said that they carry 15 liters of water in each trip. So you can understand the vulnerability. So what I'm arguing here, that the climate change and environmental issues not impact men and women separately. So and men and women differently respond to climate change, and it has more impact on women than men in many ways. And then, so what I'm arguing here, that there is no way to look at these issues in a gender blind way. Women, the environmental justice must have to be connected with gender justice, and the issues should be looked at from gender perspective. And and if you look at I would take one more minute, Krishna, that if you look at the history, if you look at the big conferences that are happening throughout the world, from the Stockholm conferences on women, we know about the Kyoto Protocol, we know about even Framework Convention on Climate Change. It doesn't have any gender concerns. So the issue should be looked at from gender perspective. I think that's all from me, Krishna.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.